Hello, encouragers. I'm Rebekah Scott, wife, mother of 4, author, and owner and designer of Rebekah Scott Designs. I'm here to encourage you, to make you feel that I can do this spirit each and every day of our awesome journeys to fulfill our many important roles. I believe we are fully equipped to execute, and I will provide as much knowledge, practices, and systems as I can to help you understand just what I know you can do. Execute. We got this. Hello, encouragers. Thanks for tuning in today. I've got an exciting couple of guests, which, by the way, this is like getting celebrities, okay? And I just sent an email after I was prompted on a few different things, whether I was reading my Bible, then a devotional, then tuned into Instagram, of course, in that order, right? And I saw a post, and I thought, oh my gosh, they would be great to have on the podcast. So today on the podcast, I have Adam and Becky Weber, who are from Sioux Falls, and Adam is the pastor for Embrace Methodist Church in Sioux Falls, one of our, maybe it's the largest. I'm sure Adam can update us, and maybe that's not important, but they're bigwigs here in the Midwest, and not in a legalistic way or a powerful way, but in a very humbled, influential way that is really important to what we need to hear today. And I love these two. I read Adam's book maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe it was just 2 years ago. I think it was just 2 years ago. And I laughed so hard. I was at an art show with my sister, and she was like, could you keep it down over there? I'm like, no, it is so funny. I'm going to read out loud for you. So I did. And we laughed together. And the name of your book, Adam, is How to Pray, correct?
Talking with God, what to say when you don't know how to pray.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I should have led this intro a little bit better so you could hear Adam's voice before I did all this. But I just had to tell you that these guys just have the most humble approach to faith and to parenting and to marriage in a non-legalistic way. And it's just really refreshing. So Adam and Becky, will you tell us a little bit about who you are and your family?
Yeah, I'm Becky. We have 4 kids, age ranges from like 12 to 5. And I currently stay at home with our 4 kids. And I actually love it because I'm not an 8 to 5 job type person. But on the side, I kind of like to write and blog and just to kind of encourage other women and just anyone else with just any thoughts I have. So
I highly encourage you to follow Becky on Instagram. What is it called? Handle on Instagram?
It is, I think it's handle at Beck Weber, BECWEBER.
Very encouraging, encouragers. Okay, sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I'm the other half. I'm Adam. We're both kind of I'm originally always from South Dakota. Becky's kind of spent some time in North Dakota and South Dakota as well. Went to Augie in town here for business and marketing. Never had a desire really to be a pastor because I came to Christ later on in high school and just thought I'd always try to make a difference for the Lord out in the workplace. And God had other plans, ended up filling in for a pastor the summer before my senior year of college, who was actually Becky's dad. That's how we met. And,
cool.
And then went to seminary in Kentucky. We got married. Went to seminary in Kentucky and never thought we'd come back to the Dakotas, mainly because of the weather. And God had other plans again, so we ended up coming back in 2007, and we started the church then. And so it's kind of just been a crazy ride, but a ride. I always say, even in the hard times, God's plan is so much better than ours.
Yes, it is. Okay, so I brought these two on, encouragers, because, like I said, they have a very humble approach and non-legalistic way of looking at Christianity and just being being very real with God. And I want to encourage you guys to rethink in this day and age when we have access to our cell phones whenever we want, access to everybody's blog, everybody's Instagram account, everybody's Facebook, and we can always compare ourselves. We get caught in a trap. And it's an overused term of comparison, the word comparison, but it is a trap. And even as a leader myself and as a Christian myself, I end up thinking, gosh, I'm feeling like I'm competing. And so I thought that, Adam, if you could shine some light onto some of our fears around identifying too much with our handle, our Instagram handle, or identifying with our Facebook and how many likes we have on the perfect pose that we had of our kid, minus the 50 that went wrong. Can you shine some light onto what God tells us about comparison and competitiveness?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely speaking from a place of being a work in progress myself. We did this way before Instagram of just comparing our lives to other people, and now it's just been magnified. And I'll even confess that I struggle with this as a pastor. The one area you think you wouldn't struggle with comparison is being a pastor, right? Like it's so holy and whatever. And yet, honestly, for me, I struggle with it as a pastor. I struggle with it as a parent, as a spouse, as just a human being. And the word is quick to talk about comparison, and basically it's stealing our joy. And it's really, really hard to have much joy when you're comparing yourself to another person. And I would even go further. It doesn't just steal your joy, it steals your peace. It steals the fruits of the Spirit right out of your life, because you're wishing and hoping and wanting what another person has, and instead of being grateful for what you do have and really giving thanks for today and the life that God has given you. And again, it's something that I battle with in my own life, and so it's definitely not immune to it as a pastor. And again, yet it's been here way before Instagram. Now we just magnified it.
But I like the idea that if we can remind ourselves that it steals joy and it steals peace, and especially if it steals the fruits of the Spirit when we get to entertain those, that it will remind me, like, okay, if I'm stuck in this trap, remind myself that it's stealing the joy out of me. So do you have anything practical that we could do to stop that?
Yeah, it's so true. Like if anything else in our life stole that much joy, we would not be around it. And I'm not an all good, all bad type person. There's so many wonderful things that come from Instagram. I have friends because of social media. The cool impacts and cool ways that you can do things through social media is awesome. But I know for myself, oftentimes I need to pull away. I need to put my phone down. If there's certain people that I follow, specifically people that I don't know, that I know I'm struggling with joy, it's not a bad thing to unfollow. Again, particularly if I don't know the person, if every time I look at their stuff, I find myself jealous or just comparing, it's like, why am I doing this to myself? And so I think just pulling away from it, even taking a break, like for a month of just, hey, I'm going to set this aside for a month and just get to a healthy place. And maybe I'll realize that I don't need to spend as much time on it. I think just putting our phone down and having places that we put our phone down. I know even for Beck and I'm grateful for the times that she tells me to put my phone away, of just like, hey, your kids are actually trying to talk to you right now. And so I think just even encouraging one another, whether it's your spouse or a friend, hey, I just don't think this is a really positive thing for you. You might want to put it away.
Wow. Yeah, it's so easy. I tell them, don't be a cell phone wearer. Don't put it on you. You have to set it on the desk, even if you're just not wearing your phone. What a big difference that'll make for your children and for your life. Because you have to go find it and pick it up and dig into it. But what would happen if you didn't wear your cell phone?
Yeah. And I just even think if there's a certain area that you particularly struggle in, I'm kind of curious about different things. So I can go and even drive through a car lot and it doesn't bother me. But if there's something that I know bothers me, that I'm like, when I see it, I want it. It's like, don't go to the mall if you know you're constantly wanting more and you're finding your worth in it. Then maybe that's the same way with Instagram or Facebook. It's like, gosh, I'm jealous, in this one area, and I can't control myself. And it may seem really, really shallow, but I don't want to see another person go on a really cool trip that I wish I could go on. And so I think it's just knowing yourself and being wise enough to say, gosh, I don't have much self-control in this area, and it does steal my joy. And so I just need a pause for a week, for a few weeks. I just need a pause for a season to get healthy in that area again. Yes,
a good fast will always clear stuff up and focus on what you're grateful for. That's so true. Becky, do you have anything to add to that, in your world of being the pastor's wife?
I think it's kind of the same thing on social media. Like, I think I would agree with what Adam said, is just maybe not following someone if you do struggle with like what they're posting. And it's not like, or just even like maybe putting a mute on it just for a little while, or I don't know, and just not going to it. And I'm not even sure like what I could use for an example. Like we were even talking about like kids' activities and that kind of thing. And I'm always like seeing people on social media posting about all the activities their kids are in and all that kind of thing. And sometimes it makes me feel like, oh, I should be doing something else for my kids, and I should be doing, putting them in all these different things, where in reality, like we've had it the last couple of weeks where one of our kids has been super busy with activities. We were just talking yesterday. We're like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we running ourselves crazy just for the sake of like looking good, or just for the sake of like saying that my kid is in something? Like, it doesn't really add any significance to your life whatsoever.
No. And I say that so snottily because I feel so strong about it. We don't even let our kids be in anything until they're age 9. We did mess up with our first, but we decided with our girls, we're like, okay, until you're 9, you don't be anything. And then now that she's 9, she's in quite a few different things, but so we're just running for 2 of them. And the other 2 will be in things. I am quite positive of it, but you would not believe the amount of people saying, well, why doesn't Rosalind, our 7-year-old, do whatever, or she can ride with us and all this? I'm like, no, because of the chaos involved with that. And I only have these years where they're at home and we're still, and I really want to be a cohesive as a family instead of like all individuals, and I'm developing individuals. I'd like to develop the family. And it makes me think of this too, encouragers. I'm hoping to write a podcast. Maybe I can get Adam's help with writing this, but the Bible talks a lot about the people that he called to huge tasks in the Bible were families. It wasn't like he said, like, these 2 business partners are going to go and do that, which he did. But a lot of his was Noah's family. I'm just so fascinated by that he called families. And so would we be ready to do something that a call on our lives if God said, I'm sending the Scots? Would we be ready?
Yeah.
No, that's so good. Another thing that I thought about when it comes to comparison is oftentimes we go to social media and our underlying reason for going there is to find joy, or even just to numb ourselves.
Yes.
Like we go to it almost as a way of hopes that will fill ourselves. And that's never a good approach to anything. And so I think even more proactive than putting your phone down might be making sure that you're filling yourself. Like be so filled with God and with joy and peace and goodness that you don't have the ability to be filled with jealousy or comparison, because your cup is so full. And because you can't unplug from all of reality. Like we can put our phone down, but we need to go to the grocery store where we might see a friend who's got a cute clothes that we wish we had. Like we have to go to certain places where we might run into our friend that's got a beautiful SUV that we wish we had. So it's impossible to completely disconnect. And so more than just proactively putting our phone down, it's like, am I being filled with God? Like, did I start the day asking God to fill me with his joy, with his peace, with his goodness? Because then no matter what we see or what we come up with, even if it's something that we really want, when we're filled with God and we're filled with all that he is, it doesn't need to fill us because we're already full.
I love that. I love the idea of asking for that right away. Like, I just need to be filled today. Please fill me with everything you've got, so we're less about the numbing out and trying to fill it with whatever.
Yeah.
Because then in, like for me in my world, instead of seeing a pastor with something awesome happen in his church, instead of being jealous, I can celebrate what's happening.
Absolutely.
Like instead of like secretly like, gosh, I wish I could do that. You can actually say like, oh my gosh, Lord, you are so cool. Like, look what's happening in that church across the country. That's fantastic. And the same is true, whether it's parenting or someone gets a new toy in their life, or someone gets to go on a trip with their spouse. Instead of secretly being jealous, you can celebrate, man, they got to get away for each other to celebrate their anniversary. That's so cool. And the same picture, instead of tripping you up, ends up causing joy in a moment to thank God.
Yeah. And I think too, like the if I could say that, like the energy of being joyful for someone is way easier than the energy that the negativity and the disappointment and stuff will be. So if your immediate thought is, gosh, dang it, we still have not gone on our trip or whatever, say that for that second and then say, wait a minute, that is so cool. These guys have had one of those years. They totally deserve it. If you can be in that moment and offer that up, it'll just be so much more positive. It'll actually give you energy back when you allow yourself to be grateful for other people.
Oh, that's so true.
Mm-hmm. And it and your initial thought may not be that, but if you can just put a little sticky note that says joy and gratitude, so that every time you go down that path, you think, wait, is this joyful or am I showing gratitude? Okay, then moving on. I got to keep my cup full of the good things.
That's perfect. That's exactly right. Sometimes it's the simplest things that make the greatest difference, of just pausing just for that 2 seconds, and really catching yourself. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be jealous. Jealous is ugly. I don't want to be bitter. Bitter is really ugly. Instead, I want to be joyful. I want to be filled with peace. I want to celebrate the victories, big or small, that other people are walking through.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask, because this is one of the things that prompted me to get a hold of Adam and Becky here when I was listening to a podcast, and then when I was also scrolling Instagram. Becky had posted about a really cool trip that she got to take overseas, and I'll let you tell us where you went, Becky.
Sure.
And the summary of is your paragraph really challenged me to go, oh my gosh, am I identifying too much with my children? Not necessarily as Rebekah of Rebekah's Got Designs or Rebekah of the Encourager, but am I trying to live through my kids? Can you tell us a little bit about the trip and what prompted you to post? And I can't even remember where you were standing, but you tell us.
Yeah. Well, we got to go on a trip this summer. It was a cruise, of the Mediterranean and the Adriatic. And so I think we were in Rome, and it was, we went on a 10-day trip. And so as a stay-at-home mom, I was excited about the trip, but at the same time too, I have a really hard time leaving my kids. And so I was just dreading it. And I don't know why, because I'm able to go on this trip and have a really good time and go a place where probably not very many people have been before. And so I think when we got over to Rome, or I think even on the plane ride over there, I'm just Lord, I've been with my kids so much that my identity is coming from them, and what I do for them, and literally, like you said, living through them, and the fact that even being separated from them was ripping me apart. And I know I should miss them, but at the same time too, they cannot be what I live for. They cannot be the only part of me. At some point they are going to leave, and what am I going to have after that? So I'm just Lord, who am I living for? Who am I? I don't know. And I just, it was just a good reminder for me that my identity is in Jesus, and the fact that everything else is temporary, everything else but him will not satisfy me. And for as many things as I've tried to find to satisfy me, they've always come up short. And Jesus is quick to remind me that he is the one that satisfies me, that gives me my identity. And it got to a place where when I realized this, I was able to enjoy myself on our trip.
Oh, good.
I missed our kids, but at the same time, I needed some space. I needed a time to kind of just be able to get away, relax. And even any moms out there, I would encourage you, do not be afraid to leave your kids overnight. Do not be afraid to go out on a date night. Your kids will survive. They'll survive 2 hours. They'll survive a couple days, a week. You need to give yourself that space, because for your own sanity, and just kind of remember in our marriage too, it was just good for our marriage just to be alone together for a while.
Oh, I'm sure.
just to spend that time together too was just refreshing for us, because in a daily grind, I feel like we forget that we were married first before we even had kids. So it's like, just to have that and be reminded of it, it was just, not only we got to go somewhere really cool, but we were just able to spend some good quality time together.
I love it. I think it's so true. I'm laughing a little bit on the inside because, Becky, I think when I would find out about the trip, I would be a hot mess. I'd be like, yes, sayonara, later. And then within 10 minutes, I'd probably be bawling because it would take me 2 hours to write the itinerary for where everybody's going. And then I'd be like, no, later. And then I would waffle again. I'd be like, I miss them. I need to be with them.
I know. And that's the hard part too, is like, it's finding people to watch them. And I mean, it's a lot of work. Like sometimes it's going to be a lot of work to find somebody to watch your kids, but like, you just need to get away I needed to get away for my sanity, just to be able to, I don't know, just think and clear my head and work on our relationship and
identify outside of motherhood.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
it's a huge role. We can't deny that. It's an absolutely huge role. But at one point, I guess I should say the role doesn't end, but it definitely becomes less when they start leaving the house. And I don't want to be hollowed out.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm raising a bunch of kids, but a lot of them three of them are daughters. And I'm like, I want them to know that there was more to mom than mom life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And we can't do that when we're just in the thick of it and just continue to just run ourselves ragged, meeting all the needs that the world tells us we need to meet. We have got to fill ourselves up and maybe do the awesome thing and go on a trip for 10 days, or even if it's 4 days, or even if it's 2 days to Watertown, South Dakota. I don't care. Get away. Identify outside of your roles.
Yes, totally. Like it's just needed. And especially like, I don't know, like I just don't think you're going to be a good mom if you don't have that time away. And even just for I definitely know Adam would agree with this too. Like, I just feel like for the sake of your kids, just being able to work on your relationship so they have like just a safe and stable home to come home to. It's just such an important thing. I think that gets it's not done a whole lot of now, it seems like.
And it's not. Well, and it's so important for them to see you like what mom likes and what dad likes outside of like what the family likes. They're like, you used to do that, Dad? You know, like when you can recall stories or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I really did like fishing or whatever. It's like, I didn't know that. And they wouldn't know that if you didn't start telling them the things that you did together when you were first married, or the things that you think are funny together.
It was even cool for me, like, to see her really disconnect for those days and I saw the intentional change from her going from grieving. Like on the plane ride over there, I could tell she was really, really, really struggling. And then like 24 hours into the trip is when she really began just to enjoy it. And I kept waiting for her to like hit day 3 and want to go home or whatever. And it was so life-giving for her, like even for me to see her choosing me was really, really powerful. And I always say the greatest gift we can give our kids is a mom and dad that love each other. Yes. And we would do anything for our kids. I mean, just think about the stupid money we spend on Christmas and on getting them to events because we want them to succeed and have a great life and all this kind of thing. They'll never say this. Our kids won't say this. They're not adults. That's why. Mom and dad love each other. That's what I want. I want a mom and dad that love each other, even if it's embarrassing and I catch them kissing every so often. Like the greatest gift we can give our kids is a solid marriage. And so it was just so cool for me to see that in her. And it meant a lot to me, even more than I probably would have voiced. And for each person, that thing is different. Maybe for some men as well, especially for a stay-at-home dad type situation, it might be the kids. For me, it's my job. I missed my kids, but I was like, see you later, like we're headed overseas. But for me, a harder thing to relinquish, I feel like I'm at a better place at it now, is my job. And like, I can't leave my job. Like, you know, it's like, it's like how can I do this? Like I almost say the same things about my job that a parent would say about their kids. Like they're not going to survive without me though. And and they're going to die. Like the job might die. No, the job is going to be just fine. And so I think for each of us, it looks so different, but it's so important to really realize that at some point your kids are going to move on. At some point you're going to retire. You're going to switch jobs. Your kid's going to get married to somebody else. And so like, I think it's really important to realize those things.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Okay, encouragers, I know. Somebody get together a big plane and we'll all do exactly what Adam and Becky got to do. We'll just head overseas to a 10-day trip over there. I think too, I love that you said Becky took about, at 3 days you thought she would, want to go back home. I think I would have to go for 10 days just because my personality for me to finally relax. Like, I feel like, okay. We've got an agenda, and we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And then I would finally be like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, just to be even more honest, so the trip, it was a ministry that brought us there. There's a ministry organization that will reach out to pastors and say, hey, we'd love for you to come on this cruise so you can hear more about our ministry. So the trip, all we had to pay for was to get there. So
really?
Everything else was covered. Even still, I'm like, I wonder if Beck will want to go. Like, I just didn't know if she'd want to go. And even for myself, I didn't know if I'd want to be gone for that long. So here we have this amazing opportunity. We've never gone on any real trip by ourselves since having kids ever.
Sure.
And yet, I think I caught her on a good day because I think the kids were driving her crazy or something like that. And she's like, sign up immediately. Let's go. And so
pack my bags.
I'm ready to go. And I just think it, just like you said, whether it's a trip across the ocean because you have this cool opportunity or it's getting to Watertown, South Dakota, I think just it's so critical to do that, to step away.
I love it. So I'm kind of catching on, you guys, encouragers, that this has really been about how to identify outside of our roles and whose we really are, and also how to step away from things, whether it means stepping away from social media or it means stepping away from our homes and going on a trip, but just making sure that we're keeping our tanks full of joy and we're identifying with the right things. What a great way to end Series 10. I love it. Thanks you guys so much for sharing with us. Adam and Becky, how do our encouragers follow you guys on social media when we do need to get our cups filled?
Oh, gosh, you can find us. I think both of us are active on Instagram, probably the most. I'm Adam A. Weber, and then Beck is just Beck Weber. And so we'd just be grateful to connect with anybody. And Becca, just thanks for being the person that you are too, and just being such a light. Anytime I cross paths with you or we cross paths with you, it's always just a joy. We leave smiling, but our cheeks hurting from laughing because you usually have something wonderful to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Also, Adam, what is your guys' podcast and where can we get your book?
The podcast is called The Conversation with Adam Weber. You can find that on Spotify or iTunes. And then my current book is Talking with God, and you can find that on Amazon, Target.com, Walmart.com, pretty much anywhere books are sold.
Secretly, I just stole your idea, and I'm now going to say my current book is, when I've only written one, but I plan on writing a second one, so that's what I'm going to start saying. I'll be like, well, Adam said it, even though I know you write all the time. I don't get that luxury yet, but I'm going to start saying, my current book.
That's perfect. I'm in the process. In the next 2 days, I need to send in my second book. And so
oh my gosh, great.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been a labor of love.
Yes, it's like having another baby, isn't it?
That's exact. I don't know. I should say that's not exactly how it feels, but it definitely does. I'll never walk into a bookstore the same way. It's like all the pain and suffering all these people went through to write a book.
Oh my gosh. It's like I did 4 a.m. mornings because I knew I just had to fit it in. So I just did 4 a.m. mornings for 6 weeks.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I might as well have been up nursing a baby. I'm like, we should just have a baby during the season. My husband's like, wait, I don't think you're doing the math here right, honey. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, well, awesome. We are looking forward then to seeing what your next book is about, and we will stay tuned. Encouragers, we will put all of this in the show notes. So if you'd like to follow Becky and Adam, we will put that in the show notes here. Thanks again, you guys. And if dare I say, Merry Christmas, Encouragers. Until next time, we got this.
Hey, Encouragers! If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you've had the scene where you're crying because there's no way you can meet all the roles in your life, I've been there. I've so been there. But I'm not there anymore. And I know how you can get out of that slump and start executing on all the things that God has equipped you to do. You can pick up my book at equippedtoexecute.com, also on my website at shoprsd.com, and it's also available on Amazon. Thank you for tuning in, Encouragers. Remember to subscribe so it's automatically on your phone, and please rate and review me. We got this, Encouragers.